All
Is
right.
there a keyboard shortcut for locking the layers? Like, let's say you're selected on one. Is there a keyboard shortcut, or do you just have to click it?
When we're locking a layer, I don't think there's a keyboard shortcut. You have to literally just go over here and lock it.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've copied our shape. And so now we just have our shapes. I've pasted them, Command F, right on top of the shape. So they're floating above. And so what we're going to do now is take the fill out of my shape. So we're going to remove the fill, and I'm going to close that one so you can kind of see that I've done that. And take the fill out. So now I have just the lines. Okay. And what we're going to be doing is we want to set the stroke up and use the color we want. And so I want to use a contrasting color. So I'm going to decide on what color. So this is, I have this orange background. I think I'm going to probably just stay with like a lighter version, maybe of this yellow. So I'm going to choose my color. Actually, I need to make sure that they're selected. Select these guys. And then I'm going to go with a lighter version of yellow. I picked my new color. And now we got to make sure that they are separated. Now I have shapes, not the best shape for this because you want to make sure that they're not. We're going to take like spaces apart. Let me zoom in. You need to disconnect the shape. So I'm going to actually, Adam has a better shape because he has side issues on his. So for example, I don't want these to be connected. And I don't really have a separation. I'm just trying to think if this is, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take and make my lines shorter.
Why don't you use the scissors tool?
I don't know how to work
could.
this.
Or am I misunderstanding?
I'm trying to just keep it simple without adding too many other
Oh,
things.
okay.
Wait, Ellie, do you know
So-
how to work the scissors tool?
Yeah, you just click on it and then.
You don't have to show me
and,
right now. Sometime
oh.
I need you to show me because like I've
Okay.
been wondering how to use it for like the longest time, even after tutorials. But anyways, continue, Professor.
Sure thing.
Do you want me to use the scissor tool? Okay, you know what, Ellie, you're right. I'll use it just because I want to make sure everyone gets it. Okay, so let me go back to my shape. Here's my shape. You can go on the scissor tool. You can just select 2 spots you want to cut. I'm going to select 2 spots across from each other.
So is it creating anchor points or do you pick like
It
an
is.
instant- Okay, I see.
Nope, it's creating its own anchor points. So you can just take the scissor tool and cut
Let me try.
and delete. So it created this anchor point right here.
I still don't get it. Oh, okay, I see it now.
You see it?
Okay, yeah.
Now
Continue.
there's 2 anchor points. Okay, so now these are curved lines. And so for the same thing, I'm going to select our 2 lines, object, blend. You can go on, again, same thing. You can decide how many steps. I'm going to stay with 6. Specified steps and say, okay. Object, blend, make. Now I'm getting some wonky blends. Hold on a minute. I think I still have too much of a curve up here. I'm just gonna fix that. I think I had something wonky on my file. Let's try this again. Object, blend, make. So curving back on itself, it seems like. Object. And I don't want to line the path. Let me go with fewer steps. Maybe that'll help. Once I've made the blend this way, I need to just try if I reverse it. I'm going to expand it so I can delete the kind of weirdness that's happening on it. So I'm going to expand it, which now turns everything into a line. You have to hit expand at the end of the curved one. And this way I can go in with my tool. You can see how it's like bending back on itself. So I'm going to go in and edit this manually and get rid of these pieces that are bending back. Not quite sure why it's doing that. That seems kind of odd to me.
When I did
It's
it,
really gonna just, did yours do that?
no, I didn't do that. So I'm wondering how, did you just take it from your shape?
Yes. I took it from my shape, and the reason I did that is because I have curved lines. So the way we're doing this one is by taking curved lines so I can get a curved line pattern, essentially. What happened for you?
I pressed object blend and make, and it worked perfectly fine.
It usually does. I think mine was like a fluke because of the curve, the specific curve of my shape. So let's take a look at what that's going to look like on my butterfly. So there it is. So now for me, because again, I have a shape that's going to a point, I might think about pulling my, oopsie, bunch of extra lines, it looks like. I might decide if I want to pull some of these longer or not to adjust, manually. So something I can kind of play with. Or do I want to leave them have that hard edge? And that's something I can just play with as I'm going along. So I'm going to do it to the other side now. We'll try that one and see how that looks. Okay, so same thing here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut my design so that they're two sets of lines. So I have my two sets of lines, object, blend, make. Oh, now on that side, it did just fine. See, that's what I mean. This was kind of like a weird fluke. So let me look at that with my design, and there it is.
How come
So
you're
now
cutting
I
off the
can-
edges? Like, why can't you just do it with a filled in shape?
Because the lines will double cross. I'll show you. Let me show you. It's a good question. I'll show you what'll happen. Let me select these next ones. Actually, I'll do these. These two, I'm going to copy them. I'm going to go onto my curved lines and I'm going to paste in front. Hold on, I gotta get off this copy here, paste in front. And so there's my new ones. I'm going to select them both, take the fill out. And I'm going to take the stroke and copy the stroke. And I can use the oh my gosh, why can't I think of it? Eyedropper. I can't think of what it's called. Grab the eyedropper tool on my other lines to get the exact same fill. So if I try to blend this like this without two separate paths, if I go blend, it won't let me make it because there's not two separate paths. It's just one shape. So I have to cut them apart and have two separate lines to make a pattern of lines. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Well, I'll show you. So like I have it selected, it's one whole object right now. If I go
Okay.
to object, blend, it doesn't allow me to make it because you need two different things to blend to make something. This is only one thing. It's a whole object. It's one object. So that's why I needed two separate lines to make a blend.
Okay, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just following along with you, like doing myself. I see what you mean.
you see? Okay, so like if I go here, well, we could do something a little closer together. So if I go over here and say, okay, oops, I didn't hit anything. I'll cut them really tight so that they're really close to the edge. So this way I'm cutting it open. So now I again have 2 lines. So now when I go select this and I go object, blend, make, it does try to keep them in the lines. That's interesting. I thought it would kind of pull them outside of the line. So this, it kind of made them curve a little interestingly to stay in the lines. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
see
the
what that
same thing
looks
happened
like.
with me.
Did you have that happen to you too?
Yeah, it's like looks warped. It's kind of cool.
It looks warped. It's kind of cool though, right?
Yeah.
I kind of think I like that better than what I did up here with the straight lines.
It looks more organic.
It does look more organic. Exactly.
But could you demonstrate?
yeah.
Sorry, could you demonstrate how you make it like perfect lines though? I know you just did, but could
Like
you do
the-
it again? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. We'll do it on the other side.
Okay.
So let's go over here to this one. So in order to make it perfect, you have to have them far enough away so they're not going to do that warping. So I'm going to select my shape and I'm going to cut it, giving it enough space so the lines will kind of end at an even space so they don't have to bend. Because my shape goes to a point, that's what made the lines warp. So if I want my lines not to warp and I want them to kind of just end in a very consistent way, I need them to kind of end in a place where they're not going to be forced to bend. So that's what I did. I gave them enough space. Now I've selected both lines.
Sorry, I have a
Yep.
quick question.
Sure.
So if my shape is like a triangle, would I have to make the space at 3 ends?
Here, I'll show you how to do a triangle. So then that's how this works. So if we have a triangle, you would go with just these 2 pieces of your triangle. And then bring it down this way. Move these up a little. In other words, you wouldn't worry about the bottom. You would take just the 2 top pieces.
So I
And
would
make sure
delete the
they're-
bottom.
Right. You would make sure, oops. You'd make sure that this one and this one. Oh, why aren't they aligning? I don't know why it doesn't want to work. I think it's because the shape isn't even. So anyway, so I have these 2, so just the 2 triangle top pieces, and then you would go object, blend, make, and your lines would be like
I
that.
see I did that. Can I share my
Yeah.
screen for a second?
Sure.
I got kind of a different shape. Oh, let's see.
Let's see.
Okay, so yeah, this is mine. I'm just kind of wondering how I would do it with this. Because you got 2
Oh, your
different-
shape?
Yeah.
Okay, what I would do.
I understand what you did, the process, but you did more like a simple shape. This is a bit like more complicated.
What if we took the V that you have down here at the bottom
Okay.
and we took and copied that shape? So take that triangle and copy it,
Okay.
make a copy of it and move it up here to the top.
Like all the way to the top?
Move it all the way to the top to where these 2 lines are. Right there, or wherever it's right there. Perfect. So now select that V and the bottom V. And let's blend those 2 shapes.
Cool.
See? And now you can decide to pull these lines all the way to your edge or just leave them be a pattern down the middle.
Right, right. Yeah,
Right,
I would
exactly.
need to do some shaving on the side, but yeah.
Right, and then you can just take your scissors and cut the edges of these lines that are overlapping. Just grab your scissors and cut those off. And then have it just fill your shape. Yeah. Make sure you
I'm-
select the line with your
I'm,
direct.
I'm still a bit confused. How
Oh, you
the-
have to, I'm sorry, yeah, make sure, oops, undo. Use the direct select tool first. Yep, and then cut your lines. Oh, you know what? You didn't expand it yet. That's why. Go to blend, object, blend, expand. You have to expand it first.
What do I select?
Select everything.
Okay. The whole shape or just the what I did?
No, just the blend, just the blend.
Okay.
Now go to object, blend, expand.
Okay.
Now they're individual lines. And now you can use your direct select tool. And
Okay,
each one should be its own path.
Scissors. Ah, okay, I see.
Okay.
Ah, I see. Ah,
Ungroup, because remember they're a group. Ungroup. You expanded it. They're a group. Go object ungroup. One at a time. I don't know if it cut. Did it
Okay,
cut?
there you
Okay,
go.
it did. There you
got
go.
it.
You got it.
cool. All right, thank you for showing me that.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else? How are we doing? Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move into working with our gradations now. So we're going to select a couple more shapes from our design. I've selected these 4 orange shapes that I'm going to copy, Command C or Control C. I'm going to create a new layer down here, grab a new layer, and I've already done that. And then I'm going to I'm going to lock my layer that I took them off of and select the new layer. And I'm going to call this my gradations. Why am I in cap locks? I didn't realize I was in cap locks. Okay, so there we have it. And I'm going to Command F or Control F and paste them on. So now you can see there's my new shapes. I'm going to turn off my line so we can just focus on those. So there's my gradation shapes that I'm going to put, my shapes that I'm going to put gradations in. Okay, so everyone pick out your shapes and let's put them on a new layer. And then we can start with the gradations. So first things you want to do is bring up the gradations, and it's here in your toolbar. We also want to bring up the actual gradient annotator, and that's what this is right here. You can zoom over here and you can see the gradient. And if you don't know where that is, you go to window. If you can't see it, go into the gradient here, and then you'll be able to see it. And so here it is. So the way gradations work is when you select your shape, just start with one at a time. I'm going to select the shape. You can see there's different kinds of gradations. There's a linear gradation, a radial gradation, a freeform, and it comes up just black and white. So when you click on this annotator, which is this bar down here, you'll see there's a white side and a black side. You can go to your colors and your color swatches. Let me pull up my swatches, and I can pull, let me think, what colors do I want to do? I can pull colors into the swatches like that. Make sure you're using the fill on your shape, not the outline. Make sure it's the fill. And so here you can see it's filled my shape. I can do a couple things. I can choose a radial, or freeform, or back to the linear. Now, if I'm on the linear, this little bar can show up, and you can see how I can adjust how my gradation is going to fill that shape. I can move one of the colors over more or another. I can also adjust, you know, the way it's going to be, the angle it's going to be on. I can decide I want to change the angle. I can go 5 minus 45, which would probably make more sense for the angle of my shape is on a 45-degree angle. So then I can really play with it going from lighter to darker along, you know, the width, which I think might actually work really nicely for me. So try that. Try filling, but not only just filling it, choosing your colors, maybe adjust the angle. You can also play with the opacity, right? So on and so forth. So go ahead and try that. And then if I want to go over here to my other shape, again, I can take my eyedropper tool and select this and it will match it. But notice how it's matching it the opposite way I want it. So I'd still probably need to go over to my, to edit my gradation. And I need to flip it. So I need to go minus 45. Nope. On this side, it's going to have to be different. Minus 120 maybe?
Can't you just rotate it like manually with your mouse?
I can move it. I can't. Well, maybe it will let me. Oh yeah, I guess it will. It will let me rotate it. Yep.
I have a question, Professor.
Yes.
Can I share my
Oops,
screen?
undo. Yes, just a second. Let me
No problem. Take your time.
pause what we're doing here.